Hey, hey, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Um, Top of the morning to you. Hello, hello, hello. Let me see what I'm doing here. There we are. Let me take these glasses off. Ah, looky, looky, looky. There goes Cookie. Um, Good morning, TikTok. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Um, Just getting my day started. Ava's working up in Kennesaw today, Kennesaw Hospital, I believe it is today. Um, and it rained during the night here in Atlanta, so the outside's all wet and it's gray and kind of cloudy and misty. Maybe not misty, but wet. So typically I have a day today where I don't have nothing. No doctor's appointment, no vet appointments, no A1 blueprint. Good morning, Heather. No A1 blueprint. Just a day to piddle and do nothing. Maybe go have lunch somewhere later today. Um, I'm going through this thing where I'm debating again whether to go get my hair trimmed for summer or um, or let it continue to kind of be unruly and grow out. And I have to be careful letting it get too long. I had a ponytail a year or two ago, and I thought I was looking all like a hippie again, like an old man hippie. And I went into the BP to get me a lotto ticket after I pumped some gas. And I was walking back to my car, and just a random man handed me $1. I'm like, oh my God, I need to maybe go shave and get a haircut or something. So I took it. I mean, what do you do? I took it. I said, thank you. Put $1 in my pocket. So I have to be careful how I get this. When I get a ponytail, I swear to God, I look at myself and I've never felt like I favored my Granny Bratcher. But with the ponytail and my hair pulled back, I'm like, oh my God, I don't look like granddaddy. I look like granny, you know? Um, so isn't it kind of weird though, for some of you people out there, as we get older, the male female species, as we age, they merge back into almost a unisex kind of thing. Men become less masculine, women become more masculine. It's just kind of like you going back to the womb of where you were deciding which sex you was going to be. Anyhow, whatever that is. My Granny Bratcher, though, she was always I always took her to be like a masculine kind of woman. And my Aunt Carol favored her a lot. My Aunt Carol was lesbian. And of course, the woman she shared her life with for 42 years before she died. I asked Carol one time how, this is honest God's truth. I called Carol, my Aunt Carol, one time, and I asked her, I said, Carol, I just want to ask you a question. Because, I mean, it was an open secret in our family. Her and Ollie had been together for 40 years. And everybody knew they loved each other. And they admitted they slept in the same bed every night for 40 years. So anyhow, I called Carol, and I ain't really had that conversation about her because I'm kind of confrontational a little bit if I wanted, I'll just ask you point blank. And I called Carol, and I'm like, Carol, I wanted to ask you something. She said, what is it, baby? Go ahead. And she passed here a year or so ago, but I said, how did you reconcile being, because my Aunt Carol, she's always a Bible person, speak in tongues, pray for people. Me and her sang together when I was a young boy. I was about 14. Me and her and Mama, we had our trio. I don't know what we called it, but you had to give yourself a name back then. We had our trio, and we went around to all these little Church of God, Assembly of Gods, and we would, sing these. We had good harmony together. My Aunt Carol was the best guitar picker in the whole family. She could pick a guitar, which was odd for women back then in the 70s. But anyhow, I called her. I said, Aunt Carol, I said, hey, TikTok over there. I'm just sitting here at the house, and So I told her, I said, how did you reconcile your faith with being a lesbian. And she's like, oh, Eddie, I'm not no lesbian. I'm like, Carol. I said, you and Ollie's been together and shared the same bed for 40 years. What are you talking about? She said, oh, hun, we're just sisters in Christ. We just love the Lord. And I'm like, ooh, that seems a little creepy. That sounds a little creepy. Please don't do this. And I don't know. It was just very, I don't know. It was weird. It's just weird. Why do you do in a case like that? Well, I was very confrontational. So I told her, I said, Carol, I said, I remember when I was 16 and you and my mama got into a physical fight practically in Granny Bratcher's kitchen on Gaskell Street. And mama closed the door and accused you of being a lesbian. And I was only 16. It was maybe I was 50 when I made this phone call to her. And I said, I remember that day, Carol. I said, Mama told you, said, if you tell me you're a lesbian, I ain't never going to have nothing else to do with you. And I said, Carol, you screamed in her face and to everybody in the kitchen at Granny Bratcher's house, I'm a lesbian, and nobody can do nothing about it. And that I even wrote a chapter about that scene in the kitchen in my book. That's over on Amazon.com, The Cabbagetown Years by Eddie William Sellers, people out there in TikTok land. If you want to look it up and order it. And she told me, she said, hon, I don't remember that. Well, I mean, as you get 80 years old, maybe you don't remember, but she remembered that. And it's just weird that, I don't know. It's odd, these things in life. So, but anyhow, good morning, everybody. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. I did live in Cabbagetown. I was born on Short Street in Cabbagetown. Lived in Cabbagetown up until, my late teens or whatever. And then we got highfalutin and we bought a little house. Mama bought a little house in Lakewood. And now, so, you know what, y'all, I've thought about Cabbagetown a lot lately because y'all know my daughter, Jill, she lives in Cabbagetown and Savannah's being raised in Cabbagetown. You've got to have a lot of money to live in Cabbagetown. Now, Jill don't have a lot of money. But them little houses over there now are $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 for a little Cabbagetown house. I mean, there's a house on Kirkwood that 2 houses on Kirkwood. People that know Cabbagetown know what Kirkwood is. My aunt lived in Cabbagetown. Good morning, TikTok. But there's 2 houses on Kirkwood that sold, one for $1.2 million, one for $1.4 million, $1.5 million for the house that sits on the corner of Astoria and Kirkwood right there. It's crazy. And to me, even though I can't afford to buy me a house in Cabbagetown and move back into Cabbagetown, to me, I love the fact that a neighborhood that a lot of us cabbage heads love so much, now the world loves it. The people that have lots of money, like could live in Buckhead, could live in Lenox, could live on Lenox Road, could live in Roswell. They're like, man, I want to live in Cabbagetown. I want to walk down Pickett's Alley and go to Little's and get me a Coca-Cola in a bottle down at Little's. Hey, y'all, when I lived in Cabbagetown, we moved back to Cabbagetown, I was in my 30s. Well, I was in my 20s. Me and Kathy bought a little house on Pontiac Circle in Austell, Georgia. And so we bought a little house, and it had one of them fluctuating mortgage rates. So when we moved in, the payment was like $200 and something a month, which was really stretching it for us because we didn't make no money. And then under Jimmy Carter, the interest rates went up to like 18, 19, 20%. Well, that payment just ballooned way up. So it went into foreclosure. It foreclosed on. So we moved back to Cabbagetown. Well, in Cabbagetown, you had Max Groceries and different little mom and pop stores. You could go down and buy a cigarette. Not a pack of cigarettes. They kept a broke pack of cigarettes, regular and menthol, and you pay like a nickel and get you a cigarette. So you don't want a cigarette. You walk in and say, I give me one of them cigarettes and give them a nickel and go outside and smoke you a cigarette. Times were just so different. Good Lord. But I still love it over there. And the thing about it is, with Jill and Savannah owning a house in Cabbagetown, it kind of is my entryway back into my childhood. You know, I'll walk around with Savannah, me and Savannah, and I'm just, my mind would be wandering off. I'm like, yeah, my Aunt Lottie lived right there. Walk down a little further. I'm like, there's the steps to my Granny Bratcher's house when we was little and lived up here on the Heather said Cabbagetown was scary at one time. Yeah, it got real bad for a while in the 80s, I believe it was. A lot of drugs, a lot of crime, you know, and you could buy houses over there for $2,000-$3,000. Now those same houses, they want $600,000, fixer upper. It's crazy. So, but anyway, good morning, TikTok, out there in TikTok land, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm just going to kill a few minutes here this morning, just babbling and going on. You know, if I let me see how I can say this. I was thinking yesterday about when I did a morning post about my Aunt Betty Carter, about how my aunts, my Aunt Corrine, my Aunt Lottie, my Aunt Betty, my Aunt Mary, they were just all, my Aunt Annie Ruth, they were all so good to me, you know, so good to me. And my Aunt Carol, she lived on the corner of my Aunt Carol lived on the corner of Powell and Gaskell Street in the upstairs part of that storehouse. Hey, y'all stop. And behind her on Gaskell Street, my Granny Bratcher lived in that house. And so anyhow, Carol was married to Wesley Simpson, and she had 5 kids, I believe, at that time. They were 5 small kids. And so anyhow, she ran off and left them, you know. My Aunt Betty Carter took Angie in, I believe, but she just ran off. She just left her husband or left her family. She ran off. She lived years up in Massachusetts and different places, whatever. I mean, all her kids and all, they reconciled, but it was just weird times growing up and all that. And she was always good to me, and all my aunts were always good to me. But but the thing, when I look back on her life, I wish that she had been more forthright and honest. I remember sitting one time in the yard. There was all kind of rumors. This was back in the 80s, and Granny Bratcher lived over on Hillcrest off Moreland in the basement of her son Bud's house. Granny and Corrine lived together until Granny died, and then Corrine went to live with Bobby, her son that's recently passed also. Bobby, Jenny Mae, both dead now. And so I thought about Carol when if she had been open and honest about her relationship and being a lesbian and her bisexuality or her lesbianism, whatever it was, it would have paved the way for me, you know, instead of me having to be of the Bratcher clan, a very openly outed person of a different sexual inclinations, you know. And I think it would have made it harder for me if she had seasoned them. So I think about my life now and where I'm at in life and my openness. You know, y'all know how open I am. I just did a post this morning. Some of you can catch it on Substack or YouTube or thing. I did it about freaky sex, you know, about freaky sex and sex scandals and being freaky in the sheets and about the Shannon Sharp thing. A lot of you people that follow me, yeah, she would have been shunned. Well, you know what though, Debard, she was, the rumor that she was a lesbian. I will say this: what I do admire about my Aunt Carol is that she got the hell away from her big family, her big homophobic, anti-gay family, which was my Granny Bratcher, the pastor of the family, Bud Bratcher, all them people. They were very homophobic and just had a very, but I'm not saying that to throw my family under the bus. Cultures. There's Black families now in 2025 that are so homophobic, they're creepy, just creepy. They're so homophobic. And a lot in the Black churches too. So I'm not saying that to just throw them under the bus. I'm just saying that the one thing I do like about her, first of all, she met and fell in love with a very wealthy woman that lived off of an endowment that she never had to work. And if I ain't mistaken, their first home they bought a 40 acre or 400 acre zoo out in Massachusetts that had shut down. And it was a working zoo at one time. They bought that. That's where they lived for years in Massachusetts on their compound. More money than they know what to do with, you know. But the one thing I do admire about her was that she got the hell away from her family. And I know this is probably brutal and hard to say to some people out there, but if you're gay and lesbian and your family is just really, really against you because of that, get the hell away from them. Just get away from them. Believe me, other families will come in to take their place. Other people will come in to take their place. I tell you what, I walked away from a whole big group of people in my life when I was 39 years old. You know who showed up for the next 25 years? My two best friends, Sammy Brewer and John Allett. And they showed up for me in ways. We cried together. We traveled the world together. I didn't need cousins. I didn't need uncles. I didn't need aunts. I had Sammy. I had John. You know, we had, and it was a less judgmental group of people. So, but anyway, but the thing I do admire about her, she didn't stay around. She didn't. Yeah, she would have been the punching bag, you know, and. Yeah, it was just a strange conversation, though, to call somebody just assuming that they're just going to, like, it's in private, it's a phone call, nobody's never going to know about it. And then you're like, you hear the craziness come out. Oh, we're not lesbians, we're just sisters in Christ. I'm like, oh, that's creepy. Oh, that's creepy. Please don't say that. That's so creepy. So anyway, y'all, good morning. So what do I do today? I think I'm going to maybe ride down to the market. Let me see who this is. I'm going to get off here in just a minute. A1 Blue.
Hi, good morning. I'm calling to ask, do you all print just like regular documents? Like if I have a document that I need to get printed?
No, ma'am. No, we just do construction drawings. We're a blueprint shop. The little people need resumes and a copy of a light bill or something like that. We just tell them to run over by Staples Office Depot. We don't really do that.
Okay, no, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
My card, so I can go to the library like I usually do. But thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Yep, we're back home. So anyhow, Caleb's working today, so I'm answering the phone. And I get these calls periodically. People want to make a copy of their light bill, their driver's license. And we don't really do that. That's headache stuff. You know, I figured out a long time ago. You can't make money on business cards. People do it online. You can't make money on 50-cent copies. You know, it's too expensive to pay somebody to stand up there and wait on somebody and make them 75 cents worth of copies. Take all that silliness on somewhere else. But anyhow, y'all, let me get off of here. I'm going to get my day started. I have a day of here's my big thing. Where do I want to eat lunch today? Do I want to go down to the farmer's market, or do I want to go by Publix and maybe get some soup or something for later today? Life is challenging, isn't it? It's a lot of complications and decisions. You know, every day you have to make decisions, don't you? I do want to work in the yard at some point today, and my garden's looking amazing. I'm going to start doing some videos of the garden outside. And then I had something else. I wanted to do a video about, you know, I haven't done one in a while on kind of a spiritual plane. And I wanted to do a video about when we're born. we come here with nothing, and where do and as if you're lucky like I am and have lived a long life and going to live longer, you came here really not knowing nothing, although everything is already within us that we do know. And then you go through periods of your life where you think you really got it figured out, that you understand God, you understand religion, you understand relationships, you understand people. And then as you live longer and longer, you reach a point where you're like, I don't understand much of it at all, do I? It was just like a full circle moment where you go back and like, yeah, I don't know about that. So, but anyhow, go to Homegrown for lunch. I love it there. Hugs. Hey, thank you, Michelle Harbor. The thing about Homegrown is so popular, it's really hard to get in. Although I can walk to Homegrown from Jill's house in Cabbagetown or my shop, but it's very popular. You have people like Robert De Niro shows up over there, all kind of famous people in Hollywood. For those of you people that don't know, for years and years, Homegrown, that building was Mammy's Kitchen. And Mammy's Kitchen had really good biscuits and strychnine and cream gravy. And so Mammy's was there for years before Homegrown. But Homegrown is good. They have what they call the dressed chicken plate, where you take a biscuit and open it up and put a piece of chicken over it, and then you just slather it. Well, I don't even know what that word was. It just came out of my mouth. Slather it. You slather it? No, y'all don't pay no attention to that. I don't know where that word came from, but you cover it with gravy, with sausage gravy, and you got chicken and chicken breasts and biscuit. Oh, it's good. So good. I can't eat like that too much no more. What about the municipal market? It's still there. I was just by the municipal market yesterday. There's I wondered, it was this person says that there's still a Mammy's in Lithonia. I remember one being down on Evans Mill Road down there somewhere. They got good biscuits, but I didn't know if it was still there or whatever in Lithonia. Y'all, I drove out to Conyers yesterday and went from Atlanta and got off at Sigmund Road, and all the way out to Conyers, I said, oh my God, look at the traffic coming into city, because it was like 8:30 in the morning. And I'm telling you, no lie, I-20 coming into Atlanta was sitting still from the time I got on Boulevard all the way to Sigmund Road. The other side, my traffic going out of the city moved. The other side would just bumper to bumper, stop and go for 20 something miles straight. And I thought, these people that live out here in Conyers and Covington, how in the world do they deal with that every morning if they work in Atlanta? To have to get up every morning and fight that kind of traffic? Good Lord. And it's because Covington, Rockdale, Conyers, Lithonia, all that stuff has grown up so much out there. But the I-20s just stayed the same, I live off Panola, really. Yeah, it's a lot of traffic out there. And when I do go down that way, good Lord. When I first moved out here, it was the country. DeBard, I lived on with my Aunt Betty Carter in Conyers. They used to be by Haynes Creek and Parker's Lake, and she bought 3 acres of land down there. So I wanted to ride by her house to see it the other day, last week when I was down there, and I rode by, and her 3 acres of land now, her little basement thing's gone. But man, on her street, on her 3 acres, was pouring the foundation of like a Mac mansion. And just these huge, big Mac mansions back there in Conyers where she used to live, where people got 3, 4, 5 acres back there. Beautiful, beautiful. So when I lived with my Aunt Betty, we'd take a bar of soap and go down to the creek and take a bath in the creek, because she had an outside toilet. And eventually we dug a well, and she had running water. And they'd heat water on the stove to take a bath. Can y'all believe all this was in this lifetime that we used to? I live with my Uncle Aaron and Aunt Shirley. I'd stay with them sometimes. They lived down on Carr Road off of Milson, And there was all that rock formation out there. We had to walk like a long way down, and they had a spring with a little cover over it. And we'd fill our buckets up with water and take water back to wash with, to cook food with, to drink. Water right out of the spring. I had to carry it in bucket, like we in some village in Africa or something. So, but anyhow, y'all, let me get out of here. Love y'all. Y'all, let's have a good day today. See y'all this evening. Let me get off of here.